What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another NBA rundown, courtesy of Run Pure Bets and Run Pure Sports. And what a time it is to be a member here at Run Pure. The good times keep rolling. Hoop and I went 2-0 yesterday on the Best Bet show, and I see our guy Tyler in the chat. Tyler sent me a message. He parlayed all of our leans, not all of them, but a couple more leans as well. Went 4-0, hit a parlay just with the information based on the show. You know, Hoop gave me some good insight, and then I watched you two gentlemen on the final countdown. Got a couple cashes there in DFS, so things are rolling, and I'm excited about today. Travis, how are you doing today?
Good, yeah, excited to be here, talk some NBA. I feel like when I've been on the shows, the good mojo's flowed into the DFS slate for me, so hopefully we can continue that and, get some winners. And we got JSU here, right? So nothing better than having him to talk some NBA with.
Yeah, and keep the good mojo rolling by liking the video and subscribing to the channel, and we'll continue to bring you actionable gambling content. JSU, how you doing today?
Yeah, doing good. Had a decent night last night for NBA. Went well, so hopefully we can bring it back, run it back again for DFS and some gambling picks here.
Yeah, I mean, when you get the best host, Mangone, on the final countdown, you know that things are going to be going well. And,
top notch. It was top notch.
He didn't even ask you whether or not you should play Diallo and Dort or Giannis and Randall. So that was pretty impressive.
Did not.
Showing by Mangone. But let's jump into the games for today. Keep it rolling. All right, and Mangone, you're the star of the show right from the start. It's your Boston Celtics at home catching 4 against the Western Conference leading Utah Jazz. This is kind of an interesting game here. You know, Boston hasn't been playing that well, but they have picked it up a little bit because they have the heart and their soul of the team back and Marcus Smart. So it tends me to think that this team might be a little undervalued because you got to think, like, how many games was he out? 10 to 15. So everything that's going to be model-based is going to be pumping those non-smart numbers in. And I think that he's really hard to value how much he's really worth to this team. So I'm actually leaning Boston here. What do you think, Travis? Am I crazy?
Yeah, so I said I would just bet Boston pretty much blindly, like once Smart was back, because I don't think that anything would be adjusted for it. But why on earth are they only getting 4.5, right? Like, these are the Utah Jazz, right? Like, this team, I feel like, should be overvalued by the market. This team, I feel like, should be a team that they're giving more points than normal, right? Like, I was expecting, like, maybe a 6.5 line or a 5.5, right? Of course, 4.5 isn't bad, but, like, I just am shocked that it's this line, right? I thought that I would be able to get 6.5 or 5.5 because of how bad the Celtics have been. So part of me is, like, scared that I'm giving up some value here. Spread that and maybe this is value that I've built in my head, right? And I'm just like totally overthinking it all. But I said to myself, I'd blindly bet Boston over the next 2 weeks or so because I didn't think the market would be adjusted. Bet him against the Nets, it didn't work out. Bet him against Houston, worked out. So 1-1 so far. I think I'm just going to stick with it, right? I think I'm going to stick with the Celtics here. This team is definitely one that they have to obviously get right. You know, they have to start playing better. And we have not seen their team to the full extent that we need to see them at, right? Like, we have not seen all 4 of the guys together that much this season. So we don't have a true evaluation of what they are. So I'm just going to lean Boston because of, like, my dumb thought process that I had and continue with it. We'll see how it plays out. I guess ask me in a couple of weeks how it goes spread. But I'm leaning Boston 4.5.
Yeah, and I kind of mentioned this before about Utah getting to be overvalued, and then the results recently don't show it, right? Of course, this was a road trip, so take that into account, but they lost 4 of their last 6, and the only wins are at Orlando and at home against Houston. They lost to Golden State, Philadelphia, New Orleans, and Miami. All solid teams, right? But, I mean, this hasn't been the top-notch team that they seem to be before the road trip. So I think some of the shine's off the Utah Jazz. I think we got 2 teams going in 2 directions here. JSU, tell me what you think. Are Travis and I crazy if we grab the points here with Boston?
No, I think that's the way I kind of lean too. Smart definitely gives the Celtics a lot better. First of all, it gives them a lot more versatility outside guarding. You know, because Smart can pretty much switch on to anyone. You can put him on the best player on the team. You can put him down low against the post player. He's just so physical. He'll make things work. So Smart just does so many things. And one thing I hope it'll do eventually is get some of this, like, double center that the Celtics have been playing a lot this year without him. Get that crap out. This is not NBA where we're at right now, where that's gonna really work, in my opinion, especially for a full season. And Marcus Smart, with him back, I expect them to play a lot more small ball, and I think it helps them. The one thing that's been keeping Utah like one of the best teams at the 3-point line, like they're one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the league. But I think Boston with Smart back, they, like I said, they have the versatility to guard out there and to switch. So I think Boston is a good bet here, and I would take them plus the 4.
All right, so we all seem to be in alignment on there. Yeah, I mean those two bigs that like trying to run that 80s power forward and center, right? That hasn't even been relevant since Tristan's girlfriends, the Kardashians, were relevant as well. So we all agree about how bad that lineup is. But Steven seems pretty stubborn on continuing to use it. Now, did you guys have any looks for DFS here? I know that we kind of talk with these teams at full strength. We kind of stay away, but are there some diamonds in the rough, or maybe is this a good day for maybe the Boston forwards? You know, are we going to attack, you know, Bogdanovich and Ingles and maybe some of that weaker perimeter defense by Utah?
So, Mangone, just looking at this slate as a whole, this game, to me anyways, I feel like a lot of these guys are somewhat priced right. And also, we only got one game at 7:30. So, like, the first thing I think about is just, like, maybe I want to wait. The NBA we're in now, news is so prevalent, and it's like I might just want to wait on news and nix this game out of my player pool, to be honest with you. Not that there's so many great plays. Like, some of these matchups aren't that great going later that we're going to talk about. But to me, with one game at 7:30, I think a lot of people are just going to take this game out. What are you doing? Are you going to cross it out too? Because that's kind of how I lean, even though it is early.
Yeah, I mean, you know me, JSU. Anytime to backload, let's keep backloading all night till the 10 o'clock games.
Mangone backloads, like literally, if Mangone doesn't even think about it, I knew for a fact he was going to say, I'm backloading. It's only 1 p.m. Eastern time, and he's already like, I'm definitely backloading. Cut this game out. Let's go.
So, Mangone, for the bets guys, right, that are just usually here for the spreads and the totals, what does backloading mean if you want to catch up some of the newer guys?
Okay, so JSU brought up like a point that I was going to mention that helps with this. So, like, we don't like love this game, right? Like, it's not like we're like we need to jam Jason Tatum in our lineup. So it's like, I would rather also, not just because there could be news that comes, right? But I would rather play, instead of playing, and let me look at a guy in like the late game, because this will be a better example if I can get someone for the later game. So if you see Minnesota and the Lakers, right? You got Anthony Edwards is 7.2K, right? He's a good play, but like the matchup's kind of tough. If you look for Boston, Kemba Walker 7-1. I would much rather play like Anthony Edwards at 7.2K than Kemba Walker, because not only do I have the ability to backload my lineup and like flexibility to switch my guys out, but let's say that like Kemba Walker for some reason is a chalky option, or let's say Anthony Edwards is chalky. That's a better example. Anthony Edwards is chalk on the slate. He's probably not going to be today, but let's just say he is. If he is in cash games, I can then make a pivot to a different player later on and try and catch back up if I am behind, because because my lineup is behind, right? So like, spread, if you have someone that gives you a dud out there, you get that snowflake next to your name and you're kind of frustrated, but you have LeBron James at like 50% owned. You're crazy to keep LeBron James. Like, go pivot down to whoever's in there, right? Like Anthony Edwards. It could even be him. Sure, it's not a likely chance that LeBron James or Anthony Edwards beats out LeBron James, but you never know, right? And that's like a big part of my DFS game that I've been doing for a long time, just trying to make adjustments to kind of like save my night sometimes. And like, it adds up in the long run. So I definitely look to backload more than most for sure. Random news can hit too. Like yesterday, no one expected the whole Zubac and Marcus Morris thing. And I got Zubac and Marcus Morris on my teams. And it definitely worked out. Draymond Green did not help make that work out. That was his fault. But Zubac and Marcus Morris definitely got the job done. And like, those little things can add up. And you just don't have to play this game. I don't see anything that really pops out. Maybe there's something on FanDuel that I don't know of, but all these guys seem priced appropriately. And like all these Celtics, they've been priced up. And the reason why they've been priced up all season long is because they haven't been healthy all season long. So these are easy spots just to stay away. The Miami Heat's going to be a great example of that. They're all going to be priced up. And now Bam Adebayo's back. So some of these Miami Heat guys are going to start to be a little bit frustrating. Like you're probably not going to roster Jimmy Butler right now with Bam back at that price. And those are things that you kind of learn as you play DFS.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you. I think that was a great explanation. I completely understand now. And it makes sense, right? Because if LeBron's 50% owned, you're not catching him, right? And for Anthony Edwards, it's too bad that DraftKings doesn't award points for highlight dunks because he might be 50% owned as well. He had the best dunk of the year, I think, 2 nights ago. I had to run to Twitter and put it up for everybody. So, all right, that was a great explanation. Let's jump into the New York Knicks, who are coming off a tough loss against the Brooklyn Nets. They covered the 8.5-point spread, but they fell short in the win column. But that was a great game, and we had talked about earlier, had a lot of fantasy implications for the winning lineups last night as well. They're heading to take on the Sixers, who are on quite the win streak. 5 games in a row, and that's even without Joel Embiid in the lineup. So I think this game is fascinating. New York's getting 7 right now. When New York's getting these bigger spreads, I tend to like them. They keep the games close. They try hard, and you guys have already talked about how Thibodeau's not going down without a fight. So the starters get minutes. So I like New York plus the 7 here. The total of 218 is right in that range. It's kind of low, so I kind of like the under because I like going under on the lower totals, but not enough for me to really like it. If I really were to jump in on this game, and I have not placed a bet yet, I would be on the New York side. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts on Ben Simmons' viability in the lineups as well. So let's start with you, JSU. Do you agree with me to take New York plus the 7? Do you think this game goes over and under? And do you think, like me, that Ben Simmons has potential to really have a good night tonight?
Yeah, so first of all, I kind of agree with you that I'm leaning the Knicks here plus the points. The Knicks just, man, they are a good enough team. Both teams are really solid defensively too. Let's talk about this. Like Knicks play at one of the slower paces, in the league. Philadelphia, plays a little faster than them, but without Embiid, that's huge. And they're getting 7. I think the Knicks are playing to win, man. That's like one thing Tibbs does. He plays his guys to win. All the starters are getting big minutes, and I just feel like the Knicks right now, they're the side to be on with no Embiid. Embiid, even though they've beat up on teams without Embiid, that's a huge loss. Like I'll gladly take the Knicks here in this spot. From the total perspective, what's the total sitting at right now, spread?
Actually, it's 218.5 on Bookmaker. I just pulled it up. I was using the lines on CBS.
218.5.
218.5 on Bookmaker.
That is cool. I'm going to lean the under here.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead. I think I'm going to jump in and place the under there.
Yeah.
What do you think, Travis? The points in the under again?
Yeah, so all I heard there was JSU said that Tom Thibodeau plays to win, and now all I think of is Herm Edwards in my ear. You play to win the game. That's all I have in my head now. So that's all I got rolling in my head.
He tries to win every game. I respect that, and he knows his team's not good enough to really win. In the end, where are the Knicks going to go? Where are they going in the playoffs? He knows that. But he don't care about draft because he wants to win. He wants his team defensively to play really well. Look at it last night. He held out quickly for as long as he could until Ntilikina fouled out of the game. He was going to keep Ntilikina in that game, in my opinion, the rest of the way because Ntilikina was playing a little better defense than Quickly, who struggles defensively. So Thibodeau plays defensive-minded and plays to win.
Yeah, no, that is exactly what he's trying to do, and I would not hate taking the Knicks because of that, right? It is going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. No Embiid is definitely going to affect them a ton, but I did say this on the show the other day, spread, and the Sixers did pretty well. I do like when you have an identity, right? Having an identity is super important. I think that's some of the struggles you've seen with the Clippers. I don't think they know exactly what that true identity of that team is. There's like a big, I feel like, power battle between like, is it George? Is it Kawhi? Like, who's supposed to be the guy? And like, Kawhi never wants to take it because he's just a passive person. But I really think that having Simmons be the guy could help them a ton, right? Of course, it's him and Tobias, right? But not having that friction between him and Embiid, and being able to space the floor a little bit more, rather than having it clogged with having Simmons and Embiid on the court together, I think that's really helpful for them. So it is a back-to-back for the Knicks. I understand your arguments to wanting to take the Knicks because, yes, like they grind out every single minute, right? Kind of like Steve Clifford and the Magic. I do think if you are taking the points, that's a good thing to take. But I kind of like what the Sixers have going. I think I want to jump on them, especially with the back-to-back. So that's kind of where I'm leaning right now, is going with the Sixers here. I think that they can roll. I do think the under is a good route to go if you'd like. I don't know what to do with Quickly in DFS, JSU, because you brought up great points about Frank Nicolina. The price has gone up on Quickly a little bit. How are you handling him? And like, do you think Elfrid Payton could play?
I mean, yeah, I do think he's probably got a shot to play. I know, he was listed as doubtful, and then it was game time decision and all that whole stuff. Quickly ended up starting. But yeah, I mean, I think he has a shot to play. I don't know if he will or not, but again, Quickly's in there for one reason, right, Mangone? It's his offense, right? Like when they need offense, like Quickly is in that game, like because we know Tibbs would rather the vets in there. He played friggin' Reggie Bullock 42 minutes last night. Reggie Bullock played 42 minutes. Like, think about that. Like he will play a vet over a young guy any day. Any day, so it's just, and I know Bullock was playing well in the first half. I understand that, but still, the Bullock would have still seen 30, high 30s minutes regardless. But that's just my point. Like, I think that the Knicks, that's what you want in a regular season team, and in a good defensive team too. You want them to play their guys and to play to win, and that's what they're doing right now. I, like you, think that Simmons is probably better off his game without Embiid because, like you said, it spaces the floor. Does that make the Sixers a better team, though? No, because they're not a better team without Embiid.
They're not a better team. I want to make sure no one thinks that. I don't think that, but I do think it's better.
Well, I don't know, because the way you said it, I was a little confused.
No. So it's like, okay. It's nice when like you have like, if you were talking about just winning a regular season game, right? Like, the fact that he's able to have his like own, like everyone knows like that it's him and Harris. There's not like a lot of confusion of what's supposed to happen. Like I just think that
you think there's confusion when Embiid's on the floor, because I don't. I think Ben Simmons knows it's Embiid. Maybe he doesn't like it. There's a difference between knowing and not liking. I think everyone knows it's Embiid.
True, but that causes friction, right? That causes problems. Like, and that's something that can be an issue. And the other thing too, the thing about Simmons and just talking about him defensively, he's going to be on Randall, right? Like, you'd assume that would make the most sense. He's a big enough body where he can do that. And like, I don't know, JSU, I don't think that this could be a good spot for the Knicks. I think it could get really ugly if Simmons is just sticking on Randall all game and forcing other guys to make plays, because we know if they don't have Randall making the plays, it could be a disaster quick.
Yeah, I worry about it less when Embiid. I know Dwight Howard and Tony Bradley. I know Dwight Howard can defend the rim, but Embiid's just way more of a factor down low. Dwight Howard makes silly fouls too. Embiid is just a monster altogether. And when he's off the floor, I just don't look at the team and see as good of a team as maybe you see. You know what I mean? And I see the Knicks as a pretty solid team, especially defensively. And when you have teams that are defensive-minded and they grind out possessions all game, every game, those are the teams you like when stars from the other side are off the floor, like, because they're just going to grind them out. That's what I want.
Yeah. I'm wondering, I'm just trying to think through what they're going to do, because one thing to note, when they do play not Tyrese Maxey, when they play Matisse Thybulle, they go more zone. So I'll be curious to see if he starts in this spot. I'm sure he will, though, because they want him defensively. Yeah,
well, I mean, the problem is, like, you want Thybulle on a stud wing. I don't know if the Knicks have, like, a stud wing, right? Like, I guess they'll throw him on RJ Barrett.
No, they play a lot more zone with him when he's in there. So I don't know. Maybe they'll just go with like a 2-3 or a 3-2. I don't know. Curious to see how it all kind of shakes up. But I really like the Sixers more, I guess, than you. But I get the whole argument of it, because again, like, it's like a good rule of thumb, right? Like betting on Thibodeau, like in the regular season, because he just grinds out all like the good players or the players that are going to help win the game. Like you definitely are on track with that. But I don't know.
Look at that game last night. They had no business in that game, and they made it a game. Like the Knicks literally made it a game. Brooklyn let them back in that game. That game should have been a 25-point blowout, but the Knicks just grinded their way back in. They made Brooklyn make silly mistakes, and that's the type of team you're getting with the Knicks.
So, a funny thing about that zone that you're talking about, Travis, is Doc Rivers kind of fell into that. He was so frustrated with them against Indiana, he switched to his zone because he was frustrated with the team. But they talked about they hadn't practiced it at all. He just put it in a game, and then it ended up working against the Pacers in a game, and they've kind of been using it without really practicing it or trying to implement it. So
yeah, they were playing so bad that basically just like did it out of nowhere. I remember I saw
it, pissed, and it started working, and then I think it really shows. Number one, Doc Rivers maybe not be the best X's and O's guys, but he knows how to motivate his team and push buttons. Because look at him, he gets mad, and now his team's got another defensive option, and also how good their lineup is just to be able to do something like that, right? It takes talented defenders to do things like that. So
yeah, Mangone also in the chat, Landis says Simmons will not be on Randall. I mean, he's probably right. Simmons is probably not the best.
I'm not sure how they'll do it, right? Like, I mean, I guess they could if they wanted.
But
I mean,
they'll lazy switch him on there. Like, they're not going to avoid.
Oh yeah, well that's different. But they're not going to let literally James Harden, when Jeff Green went out of that game, they were putting James Harden one-on-one in the post against Randall. Randall was going to work. Like, they're not going to do that with Ben Simmons. Like,
oh yeah, of course not.
Like. Tobias is going to start on him, and then I'm sure they'll get switches onto Randall. But
yeah, I think it depends how it goes, right? I mean, I know Simmons is someone like he does pride himself to like be on like certain guys. So I would be curious. I wouldn't be shocked if they did it. It doesn't. It sounds very unique and different.
He likes guarding you're right. He likes guarding like the best player on the team, but more like the best outside player. Like I don't think he wants to guard Randall, who will literally pound him down low. Like he doesn't want that physicality down low. That's not what Simmons wants.
What they might do is they might take Simmons off earlier and then put him on quickly more, right? Like that probably makes more sense.
Yeah,
and then that would shut down the unit big time.
Because part of his genius is being able to get in those passing lanes. So he can go down to the post, and I can imagine at the end of a close game he'll be down there. But for the most part, I think they're going to try and avoid that. You want him shutting down those wings, getting those steals, and getting out in transition. So this is gonna be a lot of fun, and we've had a lot of
we've talked way too much about Knicks and Sixers, but it's interesting. I'm excited for it. I think the Sixers are gonna be really good here.
What if I put Harris and Simmons in a stack? Do you guys think that's a good idea, or are they priced up too much? Simmons is $9K, Harris is $8,500.
It's my issue here.
Am I paying too much there?
My issue, you're paying too much, and like the pace isn't the best, right? Like if this was the Wizards, I could get more behind it. JSU, do you agree? I think that's one of my concerns. I don't think you're gonna get enough possessions in this game to pay off those price tags.
I think on FanDuel you can possibly make it work with the pricing. On DraftKings, it might be a little too much. I think on FanDuel, Tobias Harris's price, you can get there a little easier on FanDuel getting those guys together. But I agree with Mangone. It's not like a juicy spot, and honestly, for one of those guys to hit their like ultimate ceiling, I think it might be to the detriment of the other in this type of game. You know what I'm saying? So
do you think one is viable, or should I just be staying away?
I definitely think you can play one. And I'm not saying they both can't get there. I'm saying for both, like for one guy to hit a 60-point ceiling or whatever it is, like that's probably you probably only want one if that's going to happen, because I don't see the other guy going nuclear as well.
All right, well, yeah, this is fantastic. I dare everyone watching to try and find another NBA show that goes as in depth on the Sixers and the Knicks without being based in the New York area. So this is fantastic stuff, guys. Let's jump into the Oklahoma City Thunder at the Chicago Bulls. 17-22 for the Thunder, but 22-17 against the spread. The Bulls 17-20, but 20-16 against the spread. So these are two teams that perform well. To me, when I see those numbers, I mean, I don't have them exactly in front of me, but it says that they're covering as underdogs. when you see those records in the ATS records like that. So, Chicago, we've talked about before, their team I like is a dog. Now they're laying 5.5. I don't really like it, but I don't know if I necessarily want to get behind OKC in this position. I'm looking with OKC. We've definitely had to check the injury reports lately. Let me see what we got. Al Horford's out.
Yeah.
Josh Hall's out. Maladon's in, so that's a little bit back there.
Bazley's out. Dort's out too again as well.
Dort's out. I see him questionable on mine.
Or sorry, questionable. You are right. He's questionable.
So I think I hate to do this, but I think I'm gonna have to just be hanging out with you guys on the shows tonight before I make a play on this game, because to me, Dort kind of swings this to me. If he's playing there and he's able to slow down Levine and Kobe White and those guys, I think I like OKC to cover. But, we saw the other day he was out, and I said, oh, they'll still be fine on defense, and they gave up like 122 to Memphis, and it just wasn't the same team. So I hate to do this, but I actually want to wait for the lineup news, and I'll be watching you guys this evening before I make a call. What are you thinking, Travis? Is this the right way to approach that game?
Yeah, I think that's a fine way to approach it. I don't need to jump on OKC. I think this is a game that we can kind of stay away from it. I like the other two games more so far. I think if you want to wait on that news, that's perfectly fine. DFS wise, though, we got some interesting plays, right? We got to talk about Moses Brown, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Moses will lead the way. So 3.5K for him, and it's against the Bulls, right? And like the Bulls, you can definitely beat them up down low. I think this is a pretty good spot for him. Do you think that I want to get some Moses Brown in my life at 3.5K? Poku, I don't know how. I mean, he went off the other, didn't he? Yeah, he went crazy.
That was fun.
That's that. I mean, I'm not expecting him to replicate that. I'm sure he'll pop up in a lot of projections and stuff like that. It is the Bulls, right? So defensively, they're just poor all around. I'll definitely consider him. He'll probably be someone that I'm looking to get some exposure to as a value play on this slate. I think I prefer Moses Brown though right now, maybe mainly because that 3.5K versus the 4.4K goes a long way. I believe he fouled out too in that game, Moses Brown, so he could have gotten a little bit more minutes. Last three games, 19, 27, and 24 minutes. So looking at those guys, I don't think I'm spending up on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at 8.8K. This isn't Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at like 7.5 or 7.6. Like he now costs a ton, and there's a lot of bust potential here. Something that I wish I would have thought about more with Draymond Green yesterday is he does have like when he has bad games, like they're bad, right? It's a real disaster. And like, that's kind of how it is with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander when you're talking about it in relative terms to these other studs. His floor is not as high. So I don't think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the greatest play on this slate compared to the price and the ceiling and everything. I just want to be out on SGA.
All right. What do you think, JSU? Do you agree with me on how much Dort actually means to this matchup, or do you think I'm kind of overrating a role player here?
No, I mean, I definitely think it's somewhat of a big deal because they're going to put him on Zach LaVine, and he could. I'm not to say he can shut down Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine's one of the better scorers in the NBA, but he could definitely make life a little more difficult, which is always nice. One other thing, Mangone, you didn't talk about. What are they doing with this lineup for the Bulls? So last game they start, Sato and Thad Young, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
More for defensive purposes, and they did pretty well against Toronto. Are they just going with the same thing?
I would assume, right? I do think
confirmed though, right? Like,
yeah.
You don't have anything confirmed there.
I don't have anything confirmed. Maybe Spread can find it. I know he kind of caught it last time. The thing I'll say about the Bulls, I think they're very comfortable with just like mixing up the lineups like more and more. Like the Bulls are probably gonna make the playoffs, right? I wouldn't be shocked if like the Bulls, like game 3, they made a change to game 4, right? Like out of nowhere, and like because they just thought matchup wise it made sense or something. Like the Bulls are just a team that they don't have these set starters that they're like, okay, every single time they're gonna go out there. They are definitely getting very comfortable with like having a full, like anything that's best for the team approach, it sounds like, from everything Billy Donovan said. I
think they're also a little uncomfortable with the way Kobe White plays sometimes. I think he's got to be one of the more frustrating players for a coach. And I think they're way more comfortable with Sato running the show because he's not necessarily looking for his offense. He's more of like a true point guard, right? Whereas Kobe White he's not really a point guard. He's like he's a shooting guard who's, undersized. So, and he's playing with Zach LaVine. So I just don't think they fit very well together. And I also think that Thaddeus Young is just a very good role player, so who plays very good defense. He's one of their best defenders. So definitely makes sense. And I think it showed a little bit in the one game they played. I'm assuming that they're going to start with those guys again. The one thing I'll say about OKC, though, is this is, again, another team where, man, they've been shorthanded all year, and they seem like they keep games somewhat relevant and close for most of it. And look at the Memphis game. Yes, Brett, they gave up 100. What they gave up 122 points. Didn't they win that game? They scored 128. Like how it's just impressive. The coaching job really is impressive from this young OKC team and the coaching staff. Like, I don't know. I don't want to bet against them, to be honest with you guys. I'm seeing it at 6 right now on Sportsbook, like DK Sportsbook. I don't know. This is a tough game for me to bet right now, because if I have to take a lean, it's uncomfortable, but it's OKC. I do think that Lou Dort swings it a little bit more if he were to be out. Makes it a little easier for a Bulls bet, but I don't know. Can either of you guys like really push me one way? Because right now this was a tougher one for me.
To me, it just seems like Lou Dort plays, grab the points. If not, stay away.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
It just seems like it to me. So a quick look at the local Bulls fans blogs. Looks like they're going with Satoransky and Thaddeus Young again for the starting lineup. So
it makes sense. And someone in the chat was saying, and it's a good point, and you brought it up, the defense of Thad Young, JSU, like that could hurt Moses Brown a little bit. He has 3.5K though, right? So kind of have to.
I wonder if they start a unit like Thad and Laurie. I wonder if OKC fires back with Roby and
Poku. They might go Poku with the 4, especially if they have Dort, right? Because
that's what I mean. Is like, because Roby is he can be switched. Obviously, he's a little more mobile than Moses Brown. If you haven't seen Moses Brown, he is a big man. He does not move very fast, but he is a big man down low. He's a problem, but it really doesn't fit with Laurie and Thad, because Laurie's going to hang out in the perimeter. That's his game. I don't think they're going to want Moses on him. And Thad Young, I mean, he does a little everything, and they're going to run pick and roll with Moses Brown, and I think they're going to catch Thad Young's going to get a lot of, easy opportunities if that's the case. So that'll be interesting. I think this is a game where, from a DFS side too, you definitely want to stay tuned for those starting lineups and, who's in, who's out.
Yeah, so I'll definitely be watching you guys tonight. Is Holden back with you tonight, JSU, or do I get the Dream Team again?
No, it's actually me and Big T.
Yeah, you get not the Dream Team. And what's better than the Dream Team? You get Big T and JSU.
That's the money team.
Did anyone?
That's gonna be a great show.
Did anyone kick the Dream Team's ass? I don't think so. Because if that's the case, then the Dream Team's tonight.
Yeah, and speaking of Dream Team, I think I was watching the Dream Team the last time I heard a house phone. So shouts out to Mangone for still rocking that.
Oh, jeez. that house phone, I swear it only rings when there's a show going on. I'm not even kidding. I swear to you. It's amazing. I don't even know where the actual phone is. So.
Who is calling a house phone? Who actually calls a house phone?
I don't know.
This is amazing. We'll have to do a deep dive into it a little bit later.
Tell me you're at your grandparents' house, so I can get a little more comfortable.
Yeah, I'm there. Okay. Yeah, I'm there.
Okay, that's fair then.
You'll have to get that number for some late lineup advice. Make sure you guys
yeah, seriously. I'll be calling Mangone on the house phone.
It's too good. It only rings during the show every single.
Yeah, I know. It's just amazing. Great. All right. Speaking of too good and great, talk about the greatest fate in the NBA. The Houston Rockets, 11-26. They're 12-25 against the spread. Off the top of my head, I think it's 15 or 16 in a row they've lost now. And they're not covering either. Now they're taking on the Atlanta Hawks, and the Hawks are laying 9 on the road. So I don't know. The party might be over. Are they adjusting, or do we just expect Houston to keep losing and not covering? What do you think, Travis? I love fading Houston here. I'm not on Houston at all.
So there's one issue here. We don't know if he's playing. They said there's a chance he plays today. Of course, the minutes could be lower, and I wouldn't be shocked if he sits. So I happened to go to the Houston schedule. I was doing some stuff and I was just looking at the schedule for like the rest of the week. And it kind of makes sense to maybe not play Christian Wood tonight because so they play Wednesday against the Warriors. So maybe they could play him tonight, but I know they want him healthy probably against Detroit, right? A little revenge game. You know he's got to be wanting to be there to play against Detroit. So I wouldn't be shocked if he sits one of these games, Atlanta or Golden State. So they got a back-to-back. Curious to see how that shakes out. And also, is Clint Capella playing? I mean, since we're talking about revenge, you get the Clint Capella revenge game. He got kicked to the curb. I would not be backing the Rockets yet, right? I think obviously if there's no Christian Wood, I mean, it's going to get even worse. This is another thing. Like, why don't you just tune in to the show, right? When you get all like the lineup news, then hit that bet. Then I just don't think you want to pull the trigger right now unless you have a strong read on it.
But even if Christian Wood's in, are you taking the 9?
Probably not. So maybe we just jump on the Hawks now, right? Like it's probably the best route to go with. Like if I had a lean, it'd be just jump on the Hawks 9 right now. That's I think what I would do.
What do you think, JSU? Does Christian Wood matter that much? Does he come back and turn this team back into a covering machine, or dare I say, actually winning a basketball game?
Well, first of all, I just got to say, for all the good things and the winners that Big T has produced, the one thing, and I'm going to hammer it on it because there's not that many I can get him on right now.
Yeah.
He was talking up the Houston Rockets a few weeks ago, they're better than people think. All this stuff. He's betting them and everything like that. I called him out. He gave me crap for it. They have gone on to lose like literally every single game. And like Spread said, they haven't even covered like most of the games or any of the games, right? Spread pretty much since.
It depends. That Utah game was one where actually closing line value mattered so it opened at 13.5. If you hit the overnight, you would have covered.
So they might have.
It closed at 19. So
either way, that was a terrible call by my friend.
When was this call made? I'm curious. I need to know.
This call was made like I would say 2 weeks ago.
The one thing I'll say, if this call was made when they had Oladipo, Wall, and Wood back, like during that time, then I'd be okay with it because they were really impressive.
I know for a fact Oladipo and Wall were there, but I don't know about Wood. I don't think
actually
Wood
were pretty good with that little.
Wood wasn't there. Wood didn't play a game with Oladipo. Man,
they did. They played like 2 games.
Oh, did they?
Yes.
Okay.
It's they're impressive. If you look at the numbers with just those 3, super impressive. I don't know if they played the Cavs or someone terrible, but I do want to see more of it. I'm curious.
You're gonna pull out like 2 of the worst teams in the league that they played against. I don't even know. I don't know who it was, but
watch, that'll be where like the amazing numbers were against those teams.
Either way, though, if Clint Capella plays, I like the Hawks. I think he moves the needle a ton for me. Really good defender. And I'm not seeing any props for him either because I'd love to see what his double-double prop is because I think he could easily double-double here. I don't see anything props for him on DK Sportsbook. So, I mean, he's questionable. Who knows? They might sit him. They don't need him for this game, let's be honest. Like, they could easily just sit him, but I'm sure he wants to play, right, Mangone? Mangone loves the revenge. He loves a little revenge factor, and I'm sure he wants to play, stick it to his old team.
Who doesn't like revenge, right? It's fun. It's I mean, I will say it could be a good spot for Capella. The question is, do you want to spend there, right? Do you want to use your money that way?
Right.
I don't know if I want to. That's going to be one of my debates, I'd say, on this slate. I'm sure he's pricier than I want him to be, right? Yeah, 7-7. I get it. It's Houston, but it's like the one thing too, it's like, so Houston's not good, right? So like, let's say that Capella does play. If that game does get ugly, there are routes where he does not play the 4th and it's an absolute disaster. Yeah. You want your guy that's 7.7K not playing the 4th? That's a no. That will not work out well for you.
The thing is though, man, going like, if you're looking at it from a DFS side and you're saying like, okay, on FanDuel, Kevin Porter Jr. is 6K. That's a nice price for him, still in my opinion. Martin is still min price on FanDuel. What is FanDuel doing right now with KJ Martin? He's min price still. I don't understand it. So you got that. And then Victor Oladipo at a shooting guard position where I would say it's not the strongest position on this slate. There's not a ton of really good plays. So I think people are going to end up playing a good amount of Houston guys in lineups. And I think naturally they're going to want to run back. And when you look at the center position, there's not that many spend ups. So you might be left with money saying, okay, I'm going to end on Capella. You might just be left with that money. And when you go up to the top, it's like Capella, and then you get a little higher and it's Cat, and that's about it because there's no Embiid. So I think from a lineup perspective, when building, I think people are going to end up landing on him if he plays.
All right, guys. For DFS purposes, I call Kevin Porter Jr. Bitcoin because his price doubled in the last week. At 7K, is he still a viable option, or is that pretty much that ship sailed?
It's a lot, but it's a good matchup, right? Like I understand if you want to play him. He definitely makes a lot of sense. He is a guard though, right? Like, and it's point guard now only, so it is kind of starting to take more of a valuable spot, right? Like when it was small forward, it was more encouraging. Obviously Oladipo being in there is kind of frustrating as well. If there was no Oladipo, that's obviously a little better for Porter. I don't think Porter Jr. is a must on DK. I think he's a better play on FanDuel. That's kind of currently where I'm at.
Yeah, I would agree. I will say though, the ownership is going to be lower on DraftKings for sure. Like, so we talked about this a little yesterday on the show, Mangone with. I'm blanking on Karis LeVert. It's like it's the same type of like everyone's just going to look at it and go, I'm just going to play him on FanDuel, and then on DraftKings I'll fade him. Like, so the ownership is going to be way different, but I do think he's still in play on DraftKings, especially at lower ownership. They just don't have any scorers. Like it's him, it's Oladipo, it's Ben McLemore's questionable, Daniel House is questionable. If those guys were to be out, David Nwaba's already out. Christian Wood, you said may have a chance to play, but we probably are guessing he could be leaning towards, questionable to doubtful, right? So if these guys are all out, like, they just don't have anyone else.
Yeah, it depends who is in and out. And I will say, if I was playing Kevin Porter Jr., unless like all those guys are out, I would likely probably run it back with a Hawks player. Like, I would likely try and get another one of those guys in there because it's a pretty good spot. And like, let's just mention this: if Capella does sit, dude, the numbers on Trae Young and John Collins when there's no Capella are just absolutely through the roof. Both of them basically like get like a 5% usage bump, not together. They each get a 5% usage bump, and you get 1.5 fantasy points per minute from those guys, which is just absolutely phenomenal. So don't sleep on those two guys if Capella gets ruled out, especially in this Rockets matchup where they can go absolutely crazy.
Can I interest you in Nathan Knight?
What is a Nathan Knight? I don't even know what that is. Is that a Rockets player?
Educate us.
Nathan Knight was the talk of the game last game against Cleveland. Nathan Knight, he was the dude who finished that game off for Atlanta. He played really well. He got 23 minutes. He was balling, had almost a double-double at 35 DraftKings points. He's the min price on DK. I'm just saying, he was a stud last game.
I turned that Hawks game off early, so I did not. I actually was watching for Trae, and it did not work out. So
no, it did not work out. Nathan Knight was balling. Trae was sitting his butt on the bench for most of that fourth quarter until the very end, but the lead was already there. They put him in for like a couple minutes to finish it out, but he sat his butt on the bench for a while because that second unit was playing really well. They didn't want to take these guys out.
How sustainable is the 9 rebounds yet? I'm not sure. I don't know much about Nathan Knight, so this is all you, JSU. I can't talk about someone I don't even know about.
I mean, I'll tell you right now, from what I saw yesterday, 2 days ago, Sunday night, he looked pretty good. But I mean, I'm sure it's a fluke.
The only concern I'll have with him, I'd say, just thinking about the Hawks, they have like a lot of guys I think that can just like out of nowhere get in there. Like Gallinari could jump in there and like, be lights out. And he's actually a pretty good play. Price has gone up, but I do think he's in play today. Like Bogdanovich, couldn't he get a little bit more run and kind of steal the show? He's been at 25 minutes. He could go up to 30. That's my only concern.
Let's be honest, though. That Capella wasn't the only news that helped him out. Okongwu, he was also out for that game. So they really didn't have any bigs. And Nathan Knight is like an undersized 4 pretty much. But he got more run because pretty much he was playing really well. So like if he wasn't playing that well, he doesn't get 23 minutes. He probably gets 16.
Yeah, we're gonna have to watch tonight. Okongwu and Capella both listed as questionable right now.
Yeah, I have one request for the show tonight, JSU. Ask Big T who Nathan Knight is. I don't know if he knows who Nathan Knight is. I'm guessing no. God. I don't think Big T knows who Nathan Knight is.
There's a 0% chance that Big T knows who Nathan Knight was, unless he won him a college basketball. Yeah. A lot of money in college basketball DFS or something like that.
Big T was not sweating Nathan Knight on Sunday night. He was out drinking and celebrating the $1 million victory.
Oh, I know for a fact. Big T called me up. That dude he could barely talk. He kept bobbing his head, sipping his wine, looking at me like he's like this. Literally the whole conversation, he might have said 3 words in a 3-minute call. I saw all of his uncles dancing and yelling and stuff, and he was just quiet, just bobbing his head, listening to music, sipping his wine. There was no way this dude could stand up. He was sitting down. There was no way he could stand up on his own.
That's amazing. Too bad we don't have footage of that call, because I could see Simon working wonders with that, dropping him in the middle of the show there. So that's pretty good on that game. Let's jump into the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Miami Heat. Cleveland Cavaliers 14-24, 15-23 against the spread. The Heat 21-18, 17-21 against the spread. Now the Heat have become kind of a trendy pick to come out of the East with this recent run that they're on. They've won how many? Four in a row. They beat the Pelicans, the Magic, the Bulls, and the Magic again. So not the best teams, but a win's a win, especially when you are in the playoff position that they are in. They're going against a Cleveland team that has not done very well lately. They're really struggling. They've lost 3 in a row. Their last win was on March 1st against Houston. So unless they're going against the worst team in the league, they haven't fared well. They're not even really coming close to covering. So 10.5 seems about right to me here with the way Cleveland's failed to stay competitive. What do you think, Travis?
Oh, man. I mean, listen, Cleveland is not a team I want to back right now. I told you, I want to just keep backing Miami. And I've been on it for a while, and I'm going to keep backing them. I know 10.5 is a lot. It's treated me well, right? So it's I get it. You got to get to a point where you're okay, it's adjusted. But has Cleveland shown me anything to really believe in them? Not really. So I'm going to just continue to back Miami. I'm going to think they absolutely just go out there and slaughter them, and it's an absolute blowout. And in DFS, I just don't think I need to play this game, right? I mentioned it earlier. Miami's guys are priced up. Bam is back. Unnecessary to go there. I don't want to take anyone from Cleveland. This is just a complete stay away for me. I'll bet Miami, and that's it.
What do you think, JSU?
Yeah, so I don't want to – this game is a game where I don't know if I want to touch it because, Mangone said, I really don't want to back Cleveland at all. And 10.5, it feels like a stay away. I guess Miami, the way Cleveland's been playing, I guess so. And it's really tough to take anything from Cleveland right now. So I think it's Miami, or really it's a stay away for me because I'm not putting 10.5. So I'm just staying away from this game completely. I'm not betting it.
9,800 for Butler and another possible triple-double. Is that price too high? I don't know. He's been doing pretty good. I almost wanted to put him in a couple.
I mean, JC, I think this is you, man. I can't. It's hard for me to stomach it.
Can I explain it? Can I explain it though, Mangone? I'll tell people because Mangone's saying he can't stomach it, and this is exactly why. So Mangone sees a guy who played for a week or week and a half without Bam and was smashing, right? Just absolutely smashing. But now his price has come to an ultimate ceiling price pretty much where we haven't seen it all year. And now Bam is returned. So it's you have to pay the ceiling price tag for the guy who's been smashing. And on top of it, a guy who comes back and who's the second star on that team who's going to affect some of his numbers because let's be honest, Bam does a lot of the things that Jimmy does, different players, but Bam can rack up assists. Bam can get rebounds. He can score. So him and Jimmy, I remember a game one of the games before Bam got hurt where both these guys were close to a triple double together. I think Bam was like 1 assist off a triple-double and Jimmy got it. But, like, that's the type of players these guys are. Like, they are very they'll get people involved, active on the boards. So, but it does affect the usage, and the price is a huge thing to do with it. So when you look at the price tag, you're just going to look at it and say, I'm overpaying for Jimmy Butler in a spot where this game could blow out and Bam's back. So from all those standpoints, it's like, it's a really tough play to pay $9,800 for him, even though he's been playing where he honestly should be priced at that point, but it's tough in this spot.
Yeah, and that's a good breakdown. And most likely Kelly Olynyk will no longer be in the winning lineups. But you had a nice run, Kelly. I see you in the winning lineups a lot the last week. But probably his usage will be reduced as well. So is there any guys that you're targeting in this game, or is this pretty much just a stay away game altogether?
Yeah, no, this is a stay away game for me, probably. I don't see much. Kevin Love's out. I mean, Larry Nance should probably start, but 4,700, I guess that's somewhat in play, but I don't really love it just because I think this game could blow out, which could hurt his minutes overall.
Yeah, and speaking of the blowout, I mean, if you force me to do a lean there, I'm not back in Cleveland, so I would take Miami and I could see the blowout there as well. So probably a good idea to stay away from this game unless you were doing like 150 lineups or something. The next game we have up there is the New Orleans Pelicans at 17-22 against the spread, going against the Portland Trailblazers, who I can never get a handle on, 22-16, 19-18 against the spread. This game just screams over to me. I actually was messing around building some lineups last night, and this was a game that I actually targeted, and I wanted to have a lot of players in it because the total's 238, and I think it's going over. I think we're going to see a lot of points in this game. Neither of these teams can defend that well, and they both can score. Portland coming off that tough loss against Minnesota, so they played a back-to-back in Minnesota most recently, and the Pelicans are coming off a 20-point win over the Clippers where they put up 135, and before that they put up 116 against Cleveland, and they probably would have put up more, but Cleveland only had 82, so there was no incentive for them to keep up that normal pace. So the side there is Portland minus 1.5, but I say why try and pick the winner of this coin flip game and take the over? What do you think, Travis?
I kind of like that call. It is worth mentioning CJ McCollum's returning, right? And
great point.
I don't know his exact minutes, status. Like, it's the first game, right? So I'm curious to see how that all shakes out. I was thinking with the return of CJ McCollum, does that kind of cause some issues with the offense where like maybe that does hurt the over because like when a guy returns, right? Like you're just not like in like the same sync and everything. So that was one thing I thought about. Now I don't know.
That's a great point.
I don't know how to judge this game. This is one that I'm kind of okay with staying away from. I also wouldn't mind watching the total rise all day long and then just bet the under. It's a scary thing to do, but I just feel like it's going to take money all day and just go higher. I'm looking now to see where it's trended. It's actually trended downward, which is surprising. So it's at 238. So maybe you wait for it to go down and then jump on it if you think that's the case. But what do you guys think of CJ McCollum's return? Because that is a big change to that offense, right? I mean, it's going to shake things up big time.
Travis, and just also to talk about the line move real quick, and this is just general NBA. Normally, people who bet early are more, guys that bet overnights are definitely more inclined to take unders and to take the points. So when I see those moves, that's normal to me because guys that prefer the unders are the guys that hit overnights. And then the public's going to bet it back up, and then you'll see a little bit of money come in right before close. And not as much as usual now because those guys know they can also just get it live instead of coming back, pregame still. But the fact that it's trending under doesn't necessarily mean a lot to me because I know that the guys that are betting these overnights usually bet the unders. So we'll wait to see what the full market has to say about it. JSU, what do you think? And I think Travis made a great point about CJ McCollum. That actually I did see that he was coming back last night. I didn't actually factor that into affecting the pace. What do you think about this game in general and Travis's point on CJ McCollum maybe slowing things down?
Yeah, so you guys say it might affect the total or the pace with CJ back, the chemistry or whatever it is. I don't know. Like, I think CJ McCollum is that good of a scorer. Now, will he have rust? I mean, maybe. That's definitely possible. But if he's playing, he's getting decent minutes. I mean, this dude is a really good scorer. We forget that at the beginning of this year, he was on fire. He was so good. Some can argue that he was as good, if not better, scoring the basketball than Damian Lillard to start the year. And you're bringing that back onto a team. And we all know the problem with Portland, similar to what New Orleans is having an issue with, they can't play defense. And CJ McCollum's not helping anything when he gets on the floor from a defensive side. Now, from an offensive side, yeah, the dude can score with the best of them, but defensively, he struggles too. So to me, I'm not as worried about him affecting team chemistry or the over or anything like that. If anything, I think it kind of helps the way this guy can score or has the ability to score the basketball. And I do lean with you. I think it goes over. Both these teams can't play defense, and I think they're going to have easy time scoring on each other, and it's going to be back and forth. I like the over here. Honestly, if I had to lean one side, I wonder, where are you guys leaning? Because right now, I kind of lean New Orleans.
You go first, Fred.
I really didn't know. That's why I just circled the over and moved on when I was doing my
come on, you got to take a side. Come on, don't make me force it again.
I'll take the Blazers because I'm at home. They're at home, but New Orleans seems to do well against the smaller teams, and I kind of think that they will be a smaller team. Gosh, never mind. I'll go with the Pelicans. I'm switching my mind. I'm going with the Pelicans, but. Full disclaimer, there will be no money on this game for me bet pregame. This might be a game where you could try middle. I think there'll be runs. You can maybe grab 7.5 on both sides, or you could try an arbit as well. And one point about the defense.
That's a really good point, too.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good point because, game of runs here. Both teams don't play defense. One team could easily get out to a decent lead, and then I wouldn't mind just jumping on from there. That's a good point.
One thing about the defense, too, is when you look at the Portland roster, they're just not built to defend, right? I think New Orleans is more disappointing because if you look at those pieces, it seems like they should have a stronger defense than they really do. Whereas Portland, I mean, any Cantor Anthony lineup is just getting torched to shreds. I can't believe that we're still seeing those. And they really just don't have that many good defenders. Covington was supposed to shore it up, but boy, he's getting up there in years, and he's not the same versatile defender. So, all right, Travis, I jumped on the seesaw, I hemmed and hawed, but I came out on the New Orleans side. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I remember there was a world we made fun of Big T a little bit. Let's make fun of him. Remember when he was like, Portland's going to take down the Lakers, right? I know this isn't the same Portland team, but
are you talking about in the playoffs last year?
Yeah, I mean Portland's so
this
bad.
Is how far we have to go back to make fun of this guy. That's how bad his he is.
I mean we go to Carson Wentz,
like 2005 World Series takes.
No, we've stroked him so much, right? We got to beat him up a little bit. But I made some money off the Portland stuff, so figured I'd mention it. I just don't.
Yeah, you did.
I think they're
okay. That's a good callback.
They're just not good defensively. They have some really talented players. You know what would make them better if they had like some like really nice like wing players, and like they have Robert Covington. He's been a really nice piece on that team, and he kind of fits this game style well. Up and down, a lot of steals and blocks could be going on. I think he could make some sense when it comes from a DFS perspective. I really like Damian Lillard, though, and the reason why is Damian Lillard, I play him in certain spots, and this is one of the spots to do it. It's going to be a close game where he has to probably take over, right? Vegas is telling you it's going to be close. So in those final 5 minutes, the ball will be in Dame's hands. At least that's what you're expecting. You don't think it's going to be a blowout one way or another. That's obviously encouraging. And when the matchup is right, and this matchup, Pelicans have been getting killed by guards, absolutely demolished. Damian Lillard could go absolutely nuclear in this spot. You could also see, again, CJ coming back first game. There's a chance he's a little rusty, and maybe he just defers more towards the end of the game because he could be a little tired. You don't know, right? So I think this could be a monster spot for Dame. We know he can even play well with CJ McCollum. I get the usage. That's the one thing JSU talked about it before. CJ McCollum was seeing, and he was playing incredible and was seeing an amazing amount of usage. Now, I don't know how that'll be here in this spot, but I do think Dame is still in play as a tournament play because like JSU said, Bam and Butler, people are going to see that, there's another guy there and then jump off. But Dame is a guy we know you can still play with CJ McCollum in. And I think in tournaments, Damian Lillard is a phenomenal low-owned play.
So wait a second. One thing I have to say here is you think that CJ McCollum is going to defer his first game back from an injury? If anything, they're going to want him to to score. They're going to want him to get the rust off, man. He's deferring.
The fourth? Yeah. I mean, they always defer the game of the fourth.
We don't even know, like, how many minutes he's going to play. I'm just saying, when he's on the floor, there's no way he's just deferred. Well, they're going to want him to get shots up.
I'm talking about the fourth quarter. The reason why I'm talking about the fourth is because I'm trying to hit that ceiling, right? And if I'm playing Dame, I need him to have that monster game. And I need him to have that 5 minutes in the fourth where he is just absolutely chucking the ball up, right? And he is just taking over, where he gains, like, you're watching Damian Lillard and you're like, okay, he's at like 48 fantasy points. There's like 8 minutes left in the fourth. And then out of nowhere, he's at 70, right? Like, that's what you want to have that ceiling.
On this slate, I don't think the studs are that great, where I think Dame is definitely in play as a spend up, just because I don't really love the stud options at the top, and he definitely has one of the better matchups. I'm interested to see how many minutes they run out CJ. Hopefully we get clarification on a certain minutes limit, or there's no minutes limit. I mean, I doubt that's the case, but
if we don't have it, another reason to backload JSU, right? Backload for that minutes limit.
Is CJ in play if they say he's no minutes limit?
I looked at his price. It is so DK at 7,500.
He's going to be on a minutes limit.
Okay, FanDuel's 87.
I don't know for sure, but what I've been reading, it seems like there will be a minutes limit there.
Also, if Terry Stotts gives you a minutes limit, do you trust him? I don't. But.
I don't know if I trust it exactly either, but.
All right, hey guys, can you give me some advice on value real quick? The two guys I was looking at were Kira Lewis Jr. and Nickeil Alexander-Walker at 4,300 and 3,300 respectively. Am I doing better at finding the value here? Do you think that these guys might be on the cash chart or in maybe some of the cores tonight?
JC, you go first on this one. I don't think so, but
I was going to say, you said cash chart. That's a Mangone question.
Yeah, I have to.
I
check
don't know
the cash
if I
chart.
can see both these guys on the cash chart. Maybe.
No, I mean, you said core plays too, but I mean, these guys they're not getting. I guess you can make a case like more of a small ball like situation where they could get some more run, but I just don't think it's necessary to really go that route with them. What is Zion's price? Because Zion's price matters so much, right? He's 8,700.
His went down on FanDuel. He's 8,400 on FanDuel.
Yeah, he'll probably be like a
DK. 8,700 DK.
He's going to be chalky on FanDuel for sure.
I mean, I'll give you someone in this game that I like from the Pelican side that, I mean, for tournaments. And I don't know if it's a core play and he's not a value, but I mean, on FanDuel, actually, his price tag's pretty good, but Lonzo Ball is definitely in play in this matchup. Like, I don't know what his ownership's going to be. 6,800 on DraftKings. I think he's around the same price on FanDuel, maybe 65, not 100% sure, but he's around it. And I think this is a perfect matchup for someone like Lonzo Ball, who I've been talking about it for, a week or two now, where his shooting numbers have been better recently. So that always helps, especially in a matchup against the Portland team that they just don't defend at all.
JC, through the All-Star break, Lonzo Ball, better three-point shooter than Trae Young. He's made more threes and better percentage, which is absolutely shocking to think, right?
No, when you're fading the Pelicans and you see him with an open three, you're like, dang it. I mean, it's not like,
dude. I've been watching him, like, specifically, like, looking at his numbers. It is shocking the way he's been shooting the basketball from deep. It is, but that's good. I'm happy for him because I like the way he plays. I just always had a problem with him because his shot was just, to me, I thought it was going to be a tough time for him to get a real shot consistently. Hopefully it stays consistent.
All right, so for that game, JSU and I like the over. Mangone's a little hesitant, and we all think that the side is a live bet only situation. Take advantage of those fluctuations in game. The last game on the lineup, and we talked about it a little bit when we were just doing some game theory earlier, Travis, but it's the Timberwolves at the Lakers. The last game, 7:30 for me, 10:30 for you guys. The Timberwolves are 9-30 there, so they better watch out. They're going to catch the Rockets. 16-22 against the spread. Lakers 26-13, but only 19-20 against the spread because quite often they are laying numbers like this. They're laying 8 at home. So it gives you over that NBA key number of 7 where they usually stop fouling. The total's 223, and that's just pretty much a mix mash of most of the Timberwolves games ending around the 240s, most of the Lakers games ending around 215. So they got a nice little average there. And, Boy, I don't know if he's good. I love him from a fan's perspective to watch. I'll be tuned in because Anthony Edwards is one of my new favorite guys to watch. Must see TV. I don't know if I'll be putting him in the lineups, and I, I like the total here more than the side. I think that they would play the under. I think the Lakers do kind of impose their style on the Timberwolves, and I think that the 8 number's about right with Minnesota playing a little better as of late under new coach Chris Finch. So, what do you think, Travis? Are you with me here on the under, and are you going to take a side on the side?
Yeah, while we talk about this game, guys, hit that like, hit that subscribe. Helps us out a ton here if you could. But yeah, let's talk about this game. So it's DFS-wise, it's definitely not the sexiest game, but we'll talk about the betting side first. Minnesota and the Lakers. Minnesota, they're definitely playing a lot better basketball. It's the second night of a back-to-back for the Lakers, so that's obviously something that you could be a little concerned about, of like the backdoor cover, especially when you're hanging a number of like 8, right? I don't need to bet this game. There's like other ones we talked about earlier that I just liked more, that I think I just rather stay away from that 8, maybe look for the live betting opportunity, see how the Lakers are playing, because that's going to dictate a lot of how it goes. The Lakers sometimes can get a little lazy and sloppy. They have Caruso who's out, Gasol who's out. So they are like a little thin. You can make that case. But I expect that this should be a decent game. When it comes from DFS, like these prices are getting up on some of these Minnesota guys, especially with Beasley out. Ricky Rubio's still only 5'9", so I don't mind him. Edwards is 7'2", and you can make a case like there is still a ceiling and upside there. But it's not like my favorite matchup in the world, right? Like I like the matchups against Portland and the Pelicans. This like more slower paced, like Lakers team. It doesn't seem like the best spot for him. I know they haven't been as great defensively, but I still think that I don't know if I need to go to Edwards today. And then Towns at 9.5, there is an upside and ceiling there, right? So the question is, can he keep his hands to himself? Can he stop getting offensive fouls? Offensive fouls have been an absolute disaster for him. Now, I think there's some variance that's coming along to it, right? Sure. I think the number I saw was he's fouled 32% of his fouls have been offensive, and it's like 8% higher than like Giannis, right? Of course, that number is probably not going to stay. So I expect it to regress at some point soon. But is the Lakers matchup the one to target? He is 9.5K. There is a clear ceiling there. I'm curious if JSU thinks that that's like a tournament option to target.
Yeah, what do you think, JSU?
Yeah, so I do think you're talking about Cat, right?
Yeah, because I mean, he's like you talked about not liking the studs today, right?
Yeah, so that's the thing is I don't love the studs that much, but I do think Cat is one of the studs that I will look at in tournaments. Lakers on a back-to-back. He's underpriced. The Lakers don't have Anthony Davis, which is a huge thing for the bigs in general. They've talked about Trez's struggles defensively, and they just don't have anyone else, though, right? They got Damian Jones. They're giving him like 15 minutes. And what is he going to do against Cat? Cat's going to stretch the floor with him. He'll bring him down low. That's going to be a mismatch. And then Trez, he's undersized. He tries his best, but I think it's just a mismatch all around. And I do like Cat. I think Cat is a really interesting spend up. A lot of people were on LeBron last time out, and he kind of started off slow, right, Mangone? If you watch that game, got a little nicked up early in the game, had like a little elbow thing, but told the coaching staff he was fine. But you could tell, at least in the beginning of the game, maybe it was giving him some problems. But
our Discord chat was in full panic mode. 2 fouls for LeBron in 4 minutes. People were panicking. I told them we cannot be panicking LeBron James fouls. If anyone in the league,
he was doing this with his elbow, Mangone, like holding it, giving it a little like shake, but then told the staff he was fine. So LeBron, he guts it out, man. He gives it his best shot. And let's be honest, in the second half, he did what LeBron does. He ends with a triple-double and, had a fine game. So it was like not a big deal. But I will say, LeBron, when I watch LeBron, I feel like this season he almost sometimes starts slow as if to try and get other people involved. And then he builds himself up in the second half and pushes it. And maybe it's just the games that I've watched, but it's happened a good amount this year where he'll somewhat start slow and try and get others, going and then get himself going. But I mean, he's LeBron, so he can do that and be fine. The one thing I do worry about is just the Lakers in general too on the back-to-back, like with all these guys out. I think Minnesota has a decent chance to cover here with them playing so well. So I kind of like the Minnesota side a little more than you. I think it's a good matchup for Cat, and I think they're playing well enough to hang with the Lakers.
Mangone, I figured you're going to love this quote. This is from Minnesota's Chris Finch, the new coach. He said he's talking about when his guys get fouls, and they're getting close to fouling out. He said, well, I can put them on the bench and foul them out myself, or I can leave them in the game and let them foul them out. I figured you would love that.
I may have just fallen in love right now. I mean, that gets me excited.
Mangone just got wood under the table.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone just saw it. He's got wood.
Like without ever worrying, like it's one thing to think about whenever a guy does get in foul trouble. It's like the worst thing. They take him out, and you're like, why? Like, why are we doing this? There's no need to. It's like you're destroying your chances, and you're making it harder to come back. And some great points are brought about LeBron, by the way, JSU. I thought it's people will always tilt about LeBron, right? But it's like he is so good. He knows he can just kind of like let his guys around him like try and succeed. And like, it's kind of like having a kid and like they got him on the bike. You just took the training wheels off and he's just, they're holding him as they ride the bike. He's trying to let these guys do it on their own. Right. And if he's playing a team like the Timberwolves, I wouldn't be shocked if some of these other guys have bigger games, right? And this could be a pretty good spot for a Dennis Schroeder. Like we talked about him yesterday, JHU, and we had good reasons to like him. The Timberwolves are not good defensively. And if they're leading, right, it's an 8-point spread, right? So they should be leading a lot of the time. You would assume you might see him defer more and just let a Dennis Schroeder cook, right? Let him do his thing. Let him run the offense and get comfortable because they don't need him. LeBron does not need Dennis Schroeder now. He needs him in the playoffs, and he needs him to continue to get comfortable in the offense.
So here's my problem with a guy like Schroeder, and it affects him. Because what does Schroeder do good? He's not as good off the ball. He's good on the ball. And when you play with a guy like LeBron James, you need to be good off the ball. The guys who are good off the ball are the guys who have, a better chance to succeed and have consistent games long term because LeBron, if you're open, is going to get you the ball, right? He's that damn good. He's going to get you the ball. But Schroeder's game, that's not his game. Like his game isn't catching a corner three and shooting it. His game is getting the ball at the top and blowing by someone and making a play for himself or others, or getting a high ball screen and coming off that ball screen ready to shoot or drive or kick. Like, that's his game. And my problem with a guy like him is he kind of gets lost in the shuffle when LeBron's out there dribble. Okay, someone set a screen for me. Okay, this guy's open, pass it open, shooter. Schroeder's not like a shooter type guy. I think it hurts his game a little bit in general.
Yeah, but we saw how bad that Lakers offense was without Schroeder, and I think he does give LeBron opportunities.
Well, because he's one of their better offensive players, but I'm saying for him to hit like a ceiling.
With AD out, right, I'd say they only have 3 creators, right? Maybe you could put THT in that category.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, JSU. For him to hit the ceiling that you want, like if you were building out a team, right, like it's probably smart to not put LeBron and Dennis Schroeder on the same team because it's hard for them to both hit their ceiling. For sure.
I would put LeBron with Kuzma and Harold.
Yeah.
I would put him with Kuzma and Harold. I put him with THT because he's cheap and LeBron and Kuzma or Harold, THT. But I wouldn't put Schroeder with LeBron. I'd put Schroeder with Harold or Kuzma and say, okay, like these guys could both do it. But I don't think I'd put them 3 together.
Can we talk about Kuzma? Did you see what happened last night?
I didn't have that one on. I was sweating on the Pacers.
So he shot a technical free throw, okay?
Oh, baby.
And he airballed it, right? Like to the left, like awful. One of the worst technical free throws I think I've ever seen. Okay. And he last night he was asked what happened on that play. He said, "Oh, there was an earthquake in San Francisco, and I felt it while I shot it." And I'm sure he was joking, but it was pretty good. I was just like,
"That's pretty good."
Like it wasn't even like a normal air ball where like Giannis shoots it, where like the ball just misses the rim, like it's on line for the rim, but it misses everything. It was like like completely to the left of the rim, like air ball to the left. I don't know if it was on a technical foul or 3 defensive 3 or whatever it was, so they got a free shot. So they get to choose whoever the shooter is. Like,
and there's no one there. There's no one standing there.
they were like saying, like, I don't know if this has ever happened where like you choose a shooter and Steph and Draymond on the bench, you could just see them going nuts, like laughing as they're coming back, like dying laughing.
Oh, that's great. All right. Well, all the Kyle Kuzma talk aside, let's jump in. And too bad our guy Greg Russo wasn't in the chat today because this is his favorite segment of the game, of the show for sure. But let's do the best bets. And we got a lot to live up to. Hoops on an undefeated streak, right? So we got to make sure we keep it rolling in honor of all the great work that he's been doing. And we'll start with you, Travis. You've been doing pretty well on the show too, giving out props as well that have been hitting. So what do you have for us today? Best bet, side, total, or prop?
I was saying go to JSU first because I don't want to be on like an opposite side of him. Like I have a couple I can give out, but I want to make sure that I don't like take
Mangone, pick a winner. Let's go.
I'll pick it, but I mean I don't want you to be on the other side and then
if we're on a different side, we're on a different side. We're literally in DFS. We have to be on different sides.
Well, the only thing I'll say is
75% of the time.
Last time we did this, I said I like one that I think Tyler likes the other side for. I was right. I beat Tyler on that one.
That was
okay.
He gave it
out. I ruined it for the show, but okay, I'll give you mine. I'm gonna go with the Sixers here, man. I know that JSU liked the Knicks more. I think that them, they're giving. I think. Let's see what the books have. I saw 7, but I want to make sure I get the correct
bookmaker right now.
Yeah, 6.5. So we'll give 6.5 as the official number for them. I think they give a little bit of a beating to the Knicks. We'll have to see if I'm right. I know the Knicks have definitely been covering more this year than people would have expected, but I think the Sixers are in a decent spot. People always say, "Oh, they play down their competition." Well, we'll have to see how they do today. I think the Sixers get the job done against the New York Knicks.
All right. So Travis likes. Ben Simmons to channel his inner Giannis here and just completely take over the game from a half-court perspective without shooting a jump shot. What do you think, JSU? Who is your best bet, side, total, or prop?
Yeah, my best bet is going to be the New York Knickerbockers. Give me that.
I tried to avoid it, Sven. I tried.
Yes, let's go. Me against Mangone. We're going. We're getting them. Knicks fans, let's go. Knicks, give me the points.
Right. I love you guys are messing up my recap, though. There's no way I can have a 3-0 recap now tonight.
All right, fine. So does that mean we have to take 2? Because we are definitely on different sides of this bet. We can take another.
Let's
take
choose
bet.
A different game. I do want to be able to put out the little bullseye tweet that I do that I like so much. So
yeah, okay.
I want to try and go for a 3-0.
We can still put it out when the Knicks win, though. We'll just at Mangone after we put it out.
Okay. All right, so we'll pick. Spread. What's yours? You kick us off then. How's that sound? You kick us off.
That's fine. My best bet tonight is the over 238 in the Pelicans and the Trailblazers. I think that you did make a good point there about CJ McCollum, and then maybe trying to force it into him. But even on a minutes limit, hopefully that they won't be going too slow. And I'm basically just fading 2 of the worst defenses in the NBA and with solid offensive players on the other side. So even if the Pelicans do decide to play defense, which only happens like 30% of the time anyways, I still think Portland's got the offensive weapons to get that score up there. I expect to see high-paced games. I think a lot of we'll see, shots going up before 15 seconds in the shot clock. So I'm going over 238 in the Pelicans and the Blazers.
All right, so my official one was I'll go with the Boston Celtics. I'll go with them.
All right.
+4. I look like a homer, but that's okay. I said I'm doing this for a couple weeks. I'm just blindly betting Boston. I think that they are the team that's going to be looking better and better. In a couple weeks, you're going to be impressed by them. So give me the Boston Celtics +4, and let's sprinkle a money line too, spread. You don't have to add that in the bullseye recap, right, if you don't want to, but I'm sprinkling a money line. If you want to tail it money line, we'll be going there together in the winner's circle.
I'm seeing +150 right now, and I actually like that play. I hadn't placed it yet, but as you said it, I put it in. And my idea is you're getting a team going in the high direction and a team going in the low direction, right? So let's get Utah while they're maybe a little bit overvalued still and catch Boston as they're going up on this roller coaster. JSU, what are you thinking now? We got to go 3-0. I want to put out the bullseye tweet.
We got to go 3-0. I can't double down with Mangone. Now I'm on Mangone's side. I want to double down with Mangone.
2 units.
So I won't go Boston. I'm going to take Minnesota. Lakers are on a back-to-back. I'm going to take Minnesota plus the points. They've been playing better. I like them here. Wow. It's a good spot.
On that too.
Minnesota plus the 8. Give it to me. Let's go.
Spread, I'm in the perfect spot now. If the Sixers win, I was right. And if they don't, and JSU's like, well, you ruined the record. I tried to prevent this, right? I tried to, so I did everything I could. I'm a winner no matter what now. So it all works out.
I see why you made this statement, Mangone, before you went. You knew this was going to happen.
I thought there was a chance, but I didn't know. And maybe I should have just went with the Boston one first. But hey, we're gonna be on different sides, but we're on different sides almost every night, JSU. So it'll be fun.
Well, that's what I said. And Karl Anthony Towns, his prop is 23.5. I like that prop as well. Over.
All right, I'll be jumping in on that as well.
Greg Russo has to be excited right now. Spread all the picks we're just giving out. Hopefully, Greg shows up.
He probably joined in just for the last 10 minutes or 5 minutes. He figured it out.
He's coming in late and he just scrolls to the end. But Mangone, I love it. I mean, you don't get to be one of the best DFS players without being competitive, and you're using game theory even on the best bet section of the NBA Rundown show. So I think that's fantastic work today. You guys definitely taught me a lot, especially about attacking some of these games, because I think I had the wrong way to look at it. So I'm still learning from you guys. Hopefully you guys are learning a little bit on jumping in these sides and totals. And it's another great show. JSU, I'll have you back tomorrow. And it's a smaller slate. I'll reach out to Big T, but I think he's going to be pretty busy with college basketball, so I don't know if I'll be expecting him. And Travis, I'll talk to you about when we're going to get you back in there.
I'll tell him. He's coming on. He's not missing tomorrow.
Okay. Either way, it works for me because you and I have done quite well filling up this content time, and boy, with you and Mangone, they're guaranteed to get a lot of contact here. 80 minutes so far. So, guys, obviously we're working hard to bring you good content. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Go over to Run Pure Bets. Go ahead and check out everything we've got going on over there. We're going to do a quick pitch today because we've already gone for a while. But basically, the value's in the bundle. Bundle them both. Be part of the Run Pure Sports. Be part of the Run Pure Bets. You can go grab the bets from the spreadsheet. You're going to be able to have access to the final countdown show. It's going to be JSU and Big T tonight. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I had a great fun watching Travis and JSU last night, as you guys did a great rundown and helped me get a couple winners into my lineup as well. On the bet side, you're going to get all the bets on our spreadsheet. You're going to get access to us in the Discord. And we've basically just been on a roll. I mean, I can't even run down all the great victories we had over the past weekend because I'd be here for another hour and 20 minutes. So do you guys got anything else to give to everybody before we get out of here?
Only thing I'll say is Heater25 is the new code at Run Pure Sports. So that's the new code. And JSU, go check him out and Big T. We called you the dessert that one time, and Big T's the entree. You get it all together on the final countdown show. So
it's so much fun. Yeah,
that's the best. Who doesn't love a nice entree with some dessert after? That's the way to do it.
And you're going to have to be a member to find out who Nape will troll now that Holden's not on the show. So he's even in a bind.
You know what? I think Nape is just waiting. He's just lurking, waiting for Holden to return. So I think
if Holden ever sends him a text message, it'll be the greatest day in his life. He wants to be texting buddies with Holden so bad. So on that note, we'll get out of here, guys. Thank you for breaking down all the games with me, giving me the winners on the DFS side. And we'll be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for watching.